Hi guys and welcome to Rockzone.com. This is Mohit Soni. Right in front of you is the Ducati Scrambler in its BS6 avatar. We had ridden it earlier, but sadly we couldn't do a video which was almost 4 to 5 years ago. But now we have spent some time with the Scrambler again, and here we are with the BS6 version, because that's one of the key updates on this motorcycle, along with subtle updates which have been introduced in the year 2020 or early 2021. The motorcycle is finally with us. We've almost done 200 kilometers on it, and what are our first impressions of the motorcycle? Well, it's very similar to what it was earlier, and let me quickly run through the similar details and then I'll go into the riding part. And as always, as you can see, we begin with the front. With the new design on the headlight is impressive. The LED DRLs look great on this bike now. The headlamp illumination throw is also excellent, and as you can see, it's got LED turn indicators which look great. I think this is one of the best LED turn indicators I've come across in a very long time. That's the same fuel tank, the same seat, everything remains the same on this motorcycle. The exhaust, the alloy wheels, and I think this windshield is a new addition, because it's been a very long time. I don't remember how the Scrambler was back in the day, which was almost 4 to 5 years ago. And let me run you through the switch gear. So everything can be controlled from here, and there's a lot of inclusion in the instrument cluster. So you can see there is range, there is temperature for the air in Fahrenheit sadly. Of course that can be fixed in the setting part. That's the odometer, 2 trip meters, range, and that's it. There are no fuel efficiency parameters. There's the clock, there are telltale lights, anti-clockwise tachometer is here, and hazard light is here. That's the headlamp switch, and yeah, that's the key of the motorcycle. Looks quite nice, would look better in a keychain. And as you can see, there are adjustable levers on both sides of the motorcycle. It's got a very nice symbol here saying born free on the fuel cap, and that's how it is in terms of forms and functionality. Let me get into the riding part quickly, and let me begin with the ergonomics. The seat here is quite narrow, and if you're on a heavier side like me and larger side like me, you're not going to like this very much. Even medium healthy or even normal heighted and weight riders will find this seat a little discomforting, but the fact that you can get your feet down entirely is also a great aspect to have. But these seats could have been better. This is more form over function, so if you stretch your back all the way till here, you might find it very comfortable. But I think and the handlebars also are mounted towards you, so that is possible for taller riders with the arm, if they can stretch it all the way till the handlebar, which is great. They'll have to sit back for long distance touring, because this part of the seat right here is not that impressive. And what is also not impressive and continues to be not impressive, just like the previous Scrambler, is the suspension setup on this motorcycle. The rebound is very soft, and it keeps on bouncing. It doesn't provide you confidence. There's hardly any feedback from the front end, so every time you leave the throttle, every single time you leave the throttle even by 5%, the rebound kicks in, and it just pushes in your face. Of course the previous motorcycle was much worse. This feels better, but it's in no way still providing you with the confidence that you expect from a Ducati. The suspension is very soft. The rebound could have been tuned much better. Ducati should have taken that feedback from a lot of customers to make sure that that the suspension is not that great. Of course I'm on the heavier side, and you would say that up the preload and you'll be fine. I did that. I upped the preload entirely. There was a big difference, so it wasn't wobbling anymore, let's say at slow speed corners, but at really high speed corners it provided me with a level of confidence which isn't enough. So again, the suspension needs to be reworked entirely on this motorcycle. At least the front, if it would have been adjustable, we could have taken the rebound much higher. But then again, if Ducati does not want to provide adjustable suspension, keeping the prices in check, they should fix the rebound on this motorcycle, because it's an entry level motorcycle, and people do upgrade from KTMs, and so they do expect a bit of confidence that should follow on this motorcycle from the suspension part. So since we've finished talking on the suspension, let's talk about the brakes and tires, and then jump to the engine. While the tires are quite good on this motorcycle, the grip has been great. We surprisingly found some wet patches, and we saw that the grip there was quite impressive. Of course that was for a very short duration of time. The Pirelli tires that are on offer with the Ducati Scrambler here are quite impressive, but previous owners tell us that it takes some time to get these tire profiles, because they're not immediately available. And of course this is a 180 section tire at the back with the 55 profile, and it's a 17-inch wheel. And the front tire, of course is also a 17-inch but 110 section at the front. In terms of brakes, the rear brake is quite good. The pedal bite is also impressive. The front brake though, the initial bite could have been better, and but there is enough braking power from the motorcycle. So what is the Ducati Scrambler like to ride, and very specifically in the engine part, since we covered the brake and the suspension? This is the 803cc motor making 75 PS of power, 66 Nm of torque, made it to a 6-speed gearbox. It's got an oil cooler, it's an air-cooled motor, and it's a smooth motor, it's a refined motor, and it's got a linear power delivery on offer. And that's what I say usually, because and that's not associated with Ducati, so that is a major improvement with the BS6. I have seen the engine being much more smoother and calmer below 4000 RPM, and I can stay in fourth gear around 4000, under 40 kilometers an hour, and the motorcycle will go ahead without major knocking from the gearbox. So I think that's a very good improvement. I don't know how Ducati have done it, but somehow this feels much better. Of course, there has always been low down torque and mid-range, but I think that's because that's more accessible and smoother, and I think that's the reason why it feels much more nicer to play with at low speeds. And since there is torque and horsepower throughout the rev range, the Scrambler remains to be a very entertaining package in that aspect. Of course, coupled with the suspension, it doesn't do great, but if you're just looking for the engine, if you're just looking for straight line performance, the Scrambler still does a pretty good job. 0 to 100 in under 5 seconds is always great. Top speed of around 180 kilometers is what we saw on a very empty stretch of road rather quickly, is what the kind of accessible performance you're getting riding in the city. Well, the clutch is lighter thanks to the hydraulic unit replacing the cable unit of the before, and it should be much more reliable as well, because the previous Scrambler was notorious for its clutch problems that we all know. And apart from that, the gearbox is quite smooth. What else? The heating part, well, it will heat up if you are stuck in very bad traffic, but if you make your way through the traffic quickly and keep speeds of 25-30 kilometers an hour as much as possible, if you basically keep filtering through traffic, you will be great. If you get stuck in very bad traffic, I think the heating is going to be a bit of a problem for you. This is peak heat right now itself in Mumbai in the month of March, and that definitely tells us something about the heating problem. It's most of the time while we rode it in medium to no traffic situations, the heat was not a problem whatsoever. Of course, I did realize there is some heat coming in from the right side, but that was about it. It's not as bad as, let's say, some other motorcycles in this category, or below it and above it as well. So it's well in check basically. And if you get stuck in traffic, very bad traffic, then any motorcycle would heat up, any superbike would heat up. I told you about the suspension, I told you about the brakes. The suspension needs an overhaul, the brakes can use with a bit of improvement, and that's what makes the Scrambler a motorcycle where if you don't demand much from it, it will reward you, because it's got a lot of ground clearance, got knobbly tires, so the ride quality is quite good for our roads. And even with the preload set to the max, the ride quality has been very impressive for me. So I think that's a very good sign that normal riders also will appreciate the ride quality on this motorcycle, even with the preload all the way till the top. And that is what the Scrambler is all about. Straight line performance, not so impressive handling sadly, but good practicality for our roads at the same time, giving it an entry-level lifestyle approach towards Ducati's entry-level motorcycle. It could have been much more sporty, much more focused, but then if you raise your budget and get the Monster, then you will really be happy with that as well, because I'm pretty sure the Monster handles much better than the Scrambler here. And apart from the handling part, we don't have much complaints from the Scrambler. If you can live with the lifestyle vehicle here, you won't be disappointed with the Scrambler, given the fact that the prices start from 8 lakh rupees. You've got a lot of very nice finance schemes that are going on nowadays, which makes deals very lucrative, and Ducati also has many of them. So I guess if you are looking for a motorcycle in the lifestyle range, which not very sporty, enthusiastic demands from a Ducati, you can definitely look at the Scrambler. If you're an enthusiast, I would definitely recommend upping your budget and getting the Monster directly, because this is something that you will not be happy with after some time, primarily because of the handling part. I think that's it. That's our review of the Ducati Scrambler. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like it, share it. Still have some questions, put them in the comment section below. We'll be happy to answer it. Until then, goodbye. Follow us on our website for everyday updates, and goodbye.